First thing we got to determine is what we mean by 3-time. Okay, so as far as I can tell, there's really three different. How clever, right? There's three different kinds of 3-time. So the three that I usually think of are what is called. There's one called 3/4. There's one called 6/8, which is actually I think what a lot of people are talking about when they say 3-time. And then there's actually just using triplets within 4/4-time. Now that might sound totally crazy. So let me just clarify exactly what this is. So let's go ahead and make a clip, and we'll go ahead and call it 3/4, like so. So now it's called 3/4. What we can do in any MIDI clip right here is go ahead and change the time signature down here to 3/4. So every MIDI clip can have its own time signature, and the whole Ableton Live set has its own time signature up here. So the basis we're using right now is 4/4, but we could make this 3/4 if the entire song was in 3/4. So remember that 3/4, what 3/4 means is that every bar, in this case this clip is only one bar, right? See? Length, one bar, is going to have 3 quarter notes. 3 quarter notes. That's how that works, okay? And usually in 3/4-time, the accent is going to fall like so. And I'm going to use let's make sure this is only one bar here. The accents go like so. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this is commonly what is referred to as waltz time, actually. So if you ever have someone tell you something is in waltz time, they actually mean it's in 3/4. Okay? With these hi-hats representing the common accents. So usually, remember that in a 4-time, usually the accents are going to fall on the 2 and the 4. On 3/4-time, it's going to fall on the 2 and the 3. And you can see how the whole grid changes down here. So now it goes 1.1.1.3, 1.1.2, or 1.2. So the 0.2 and 0.3, there's no 1.4 here, right? Because it's basically cut a beat out. So let's go ahead and make a simple MIDI pattern here. Something like that. So you can see it tends to be more plodding, and it's actually difficult, in my opinion. It's kind of difficult to add these kind of syncopations because you can, but it's always going to be plodding because of the way that the stress pattern works. So what people mean a lot of times by 3/4-time, and the way that 3/4-time manifests itself in like dance music, is usually what they mean is 6/8-time. So let's go ahead and make a 6/8 here. And 6/8 means, we'll call this guy 6/8 too. And what 6/8 means is that you have six 6/8 notes actually. So you'll see that one bar of 6/8, make sure this is one bar. One bar of 6/8 just has 6/8 notes. So 1.0, 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. And then it repeats. So 2, 2.2, etc. And so the way that it works actually is that, and this is the common way that it works, is that you have the snare, or whatever the backbeat is going to fall on the 4. And because of this, it has a similar feeling to like a 4/4-time. But you'll hear, and then usually so even though this one is based in 3, in that there is you have a division of 3 up here at the top, it has a 2 feeling because the clap is still kind of falling on this 4. So and so you can see that this is a little bit more amenable to if you're trying to do, like, let's say something, if you're trying to do something like that's a little bit more traditional, but you still want it to be, make it have like a little bit of swing, then you can do this kind of thing. Those are two different time signatures, but they're both based in three. So I think a lot of times when people are talking about three time, they're not sure what they mean. I hear people say waltz time when they mean 6/8 time, etc. But the most common by far is what we have in this case. So let's go ahead and make a really basic 4 rhythm. So let's go ahead and just do kicks on the 1s, snares on the 2s and the 4s. Right? It's like, let's say this is the most basic of 4 beats, right? So we have something like this. Let's go ahead. So let's say I wanted to put a bar of so-called 3 time in here. So what I would do is I wouldn't actually change the time signature. What I would do is I would duplicate this right here, and I would just go ahead and in this clip grid, I would press Command 3, and that'll turn on the triplets. And so basically, functionally, I'm going to make something similar to a 6/8 time, because now I'm going to have 3. I'm basically just going to make sure that there's 3 hi-hat hits in between the kick and the snare. So I'm going to go ahead and just make one series of 3 triplets, and I'm just going to duplicate this all the way across. And then what I have is this. And so that's usually what people mean when they say, so I'm just going to call this 4/4 triplets. Ugh. So this is usually what they mean when they say 3 time, but you'll see how the difference is a lot. The transition is better. Oh, sorry about that. Still want to go ahead and make sure you have the right quantization up here. And you'll see there's no tempo distinction, because these ones, the tempo is you're gonna hear the time change. So a lot of this is a difference in nomenclature, but it is really important to keep these things distinct, because I think that using 4/4 with that triplet feeling is really going to be a cool way to mix things up. The problem, and it is also, I think, really awesome to write an entire song in 6/8, but these all have their own nuances, I think, because a song in 3/4 is definitely going to have in a more traditional waltz time, I think people forget about a lot of times, but I think it is really cool. But like I said, a lot of it has to do with the nomenclature and with where the stress falls.